Lighting's not so great in here, but here's a quick look at the mill that I just cut a deal where I basically am pulling everything off of this mill that I want to take with me. And the bulk of the mill is going to be scrapped. This is a Supermill J. That's going to come out in the dark here, but it's kind of a weird scripted Supermill-J, and it's got a 40 taper spindle in it, but it's got a quick change system on it. I was hoping it was R8 and I would keep it for myself. There was a whole bunch of holders up there, I already got those. I was here yesterday working on pulling stuff off of this, so got a Bridgeport vise off of it, and another one of those like a hole in the head. I'll probably barter that and trade it for something. I'm going to try and get some parts off of this. I did some research, and it turns out this is made by a company, I can't even pronounce the name correctly. Off the top of my head, I don't remember the name. I'll put it up on the screen here. Apparently it's one of those companies that's in what was formerly Yugoslavia and is now, I think, Croatia. But the few people I've had who commented about these mills said they were really good heavy mills. You can look at the substantial heft of that head. It's got the ability to nod and tilt just like a Bridgeport, and the ram just like a Bridgeport, and the turret just like a Bridgeport. But then it's just got kind of like this much blockier. This looks like the Volvo, the 1980s Volvo of milling machines, the way this head is. Everything's square on it. And I think there might even be an issue with it because I haven't been able to figure out like how to get the quill to come down. This obviously is the quill handle, but it just kind of freewheels, and I've tried a few different things. Obviously it had power down feed for the quill because this handle right here, there's a lever here. If you put it on 0, this freewheels, and then it's got the feed rates for the down feed on the quill. But I don't have much time, so can't really get into that. This has also got like switches on the side here. The electrical for this mill is like built into the base. It's a funky beast. And then it's a package deal. I could have bought both of these machines dirt cheap, relatively speaking. What we're looking at right there is a South Bend. Probably, I found in the 1916 South Bend catalog, I found that the mills had the threading chart there on the leg like that one. And that by the 1930 catalog, all of the threading charts had moved up to that gear cover that's supposed to be on there. Unfortunately, somebody broke it. It's got the nice legs on it. That's not part of the deal. I can't take the bed with me unless I want to, and I'm not going to. The deal we struck basically was him taking the legs, scrapping the bed, and then me taking whatever else I want to unbolt. I already took all the chucks that were underneath it. I found some chucks that don't even belong to this lathe, I don't think. I think I got 3 more chucks. I'm going to cover all that ad nauseum in a series of videos that we're going to call the South Bend haul or something like that. It's a quick change tool post on here. Well, not really. It's a 4-way tool post, but it's got kind of a weird, like, ratcheting locking thing going here. The original miter was underneath the lathe. I took that along with the study rest. But again, now I'm getting into more than I want to get into. I'm just going to get some pictures of this sucker and then get to work. Oh, one other quick comment about this this lathe. This is a long bed on this thing, and I was sorely tempted to buy this. But with the Hendy sitting down there in my basement shop, and the Vernon down there in the basement shop, which is basically like the same size as this cone head, I couldn't see taking it. I mean, the one thing this has going for it is that extra long bed. But there's no quick change gearbox on it, so we're gonna part it out, sell off what we can to help other people with old lathes that are looking for replacement parts, and that's going to be the end of this lathe. I just grabbed the tape measure for the heck of it because I never did really check the swing on this one, and it turns out it looks like that piece of sheet metal I stuck across there is fairly thin, but it doesn't quite make it to 8 inches to the center. It looks like 7.5, which would make this a 15-inch swing. So I'll have to check and see if they made a 15 back in around 1916. And then the bed is 8 feet. That's an 8-foot bed. Boy, that would be nice if somebody could use. Unfortunately, I almost hate showing this lathe because I know a lot of people are thinking, oh my goodness, what a shame that that's going to be scrapped. But it is what it is. And for you true South Bend aficionados, 17359 is the serial number. 17359. Well, I was there for about 3 hours this afternoon, and a lot of that time was wasted on that mill, that Yugoslavian mill. I'm not quite sure how to get that spindle out of that thing, so I wasted a lot of time, and I was only able to get that top casting off there that has the brake housing in it, and we got the motor off, and we got this off. He's going to keep the motor because he wants to scrap the motor, and I'm not going to argue with him. Well, I've got to get this stuff in out of the weather because it looks like rain's on its way. So I figured I'd shoot some video and show what the haul was for that day. I ended up getting this counter shaft assembly off. So the bracket and the arm that supports the bracket for the motor and everything is still on the lathe. I might still try and get that. This is interesting about this. This has got real wood for pulleys, and this is the one that the belt was really riding on a lot. You can see it's kind of polished. It almost looks like it's mahogany. Got the complete saddle assembly with the cross slide and the cross feed screw and the handle. And then under that, got the apron. And it's a complete apron except for the half nut. But the half nut I actually saw in the bucket that I got the other day. It had a bunch of parts in it. So for some reason, this guy had the half nut out of this lathe. I don't know why. So you can see that's where the half nut went. So the only thing is, I don't know whether or not those little bars that screwed into where those 6 holes are, whether or not those are in the bucket also. Those are what the half nut actually slides up and down in. When those bars are in place, it creates the little channel that the half nuts move in. And then, can't tell, but it doesn't look like there's anything wrong with the actual scroll on the back of the knob there to make the half nuts work. So kind of a mystery as to why he had those out. Maybe he had some bad ones, and maybe he had just procured some replacement ones, because those half nuts looked okay, but I'll have to look at them more closely. There's the complete spindle with the cone head pulley assembly and the bowl gear for the back gear on there. The threads look good. No damage to the nose of the spindle yet. Let's see if I can keep it that way. Got the headstock. It took the whole headstock assembly with the back gear assembly and the concentric lever. It took that all as one piece. In this bucket I've got several goodies. I've got some brackets and stuff. Oh, here we go. Here's a nice micrometer stop, carriage stop. Got the bracket, got the reverser assembly in there, and some other gears that I took off that end. In this box here I've got the 2 guards for the gears on the headstock there. Those are nice castings that if you break one, it's nice to be able to find one like that. That's the lead screw support bracket at the headstock end, and then I've also got the lead screw support bracket for the other end. This isn't necessarily unique to the South Bend, but since I was allowed to take whatever I wanted off the lathe, I figured might as well grab this drum switch. This lathe was actually running when I tried it, so I had to cut the power to take that out. So I know it's a good Cutler hammer drum switch. The other day I brought home the compound
that compound tool rest that was laying on the floor under the lathe. And the reason why that was on the floor under the lathe was because this was mounted on it. It's the four-way tool post, which I've seen this style on a number of different lathes. But what's unique about this one is it's got this whole base assembly that was bolted down with 4 bolts to the top of the cross slide right there. You can see there's drilled and tapped holes that fit right into. There was some packings underneath it too to raise it up to the height that needed to be raised to. And then what's kind of neat about this is you flip this lever on the top here and you rotate this, and it's almost got like a click stop in at the 90-degree positions all around. This has got, I don't know what happened there, something really bad happened there. But it's still a usable tool post. There's a boring bar in there. I'll probably steal that for myself. Got the complete tailstock assembly. Didn't seem to be anything wrong with that. Of course, I already grabbed 3 chucks the other day. This is the chuck that was on the spindle when I was taking the lathe apart, and this actually looks like the nicest of all the chucks. The other chucks were the kind that had the kind of hollow backside to them. I think they might have been earlier chucks, but this one looks like a pretty nice one. Unfortunately, again, unless they're down in that box that I haven't gone through yet, I haven't been able to find the second set of jaws for any of these 3-jaw chucks that I grabbed. Good grease fitting on this one. It's funny, I could see the rubbing marks right here. Somebody was trying to clean off this area to see if they could find the name for the chuck, I think, and turns out it's right here. All I can make out is I think it says NO for number 3910F, 3910F maybe. It's probably, I think a lot of these South Bends came with Skinner chucks, so if that's the original one that came with the lathe, it's probably a Skinner. I cleaned it up just a hair more, just enough to see the Skinner, New Britain. So I'm sure it's the Skinner Chuck Company of New Britain, Connecticut. I grabbed this big gear cover. This is a big casting that swivels out. It's supposed to swivel out. That bracket right there actually clamps to the bed, and you know, it swivels open so you can access the gears to change out your change gears and I guess maybe oil it or whatever. But unfortunately, it's broken, and this piece was, of course, still on the lathe, and then this piece here was laying under a ton of dirt and debris down in back of the lathe. So I guess when it broke off, he just kind of left it laying there and kicked it out of the way a little bit, and it's been there for years. That's why it's significantly dirtier than the other piece. But it's a nice clean break. There's just 2 pieces. So that could be, you know, I'm thinking maybe silica brazed. Silica brazing would probably be a good repair for this. This might be a good candidate for that. I don't know. I figured, what the heck, I'll grab it, and maybe somebody needs the bracket, or maybe somebody has a cover that's completely broken and would be willing to either have this repaired or do a repair themselves. Worst case scenario is I could just scrap it. These are the only parts I grabbed off of that Yugoslavian made milling machine, and the only reason I really took these off was because I was trying to get the quick change spindle out of the thing, spindle adapter out of the thing, so I could sell that, and I haven't been able to get it out yet. The drawbar on the top, I could feel with my finger, I could feel the bolt head on there, and I tried every size and nothing was working. So finally I climbed up on the machine with a strong flashlight, looked in there and saw it was a square head. I was like, oh great. And of course the wrench, nowhere to be found. So probably at the estate sale it got thrown into a box with some other wrenches by accident and sold. So then I tried taking the assembly off. This is actually the very top cap here that I got off, and this has got this brake shoe arrangement in here, so it's a spindle brake, and it's got this special wrench that goes in there on the top, and basically when you turn this, it's got a cam effect to actuate the spindle brake. So kind of a little bit of a different setup. than what I expected to see. So I doubt I'm going to find anybody with another one of these mills that needs one of these assemblies. But what I noticed when I took it off, this is solid aluminum, big aluminum casting. And I took that off hoping that maybe I could then be able to get an adjustable wrench on the top of the drawbar. Well, taking that off, couldn't see the drawbar, so that didn't help. And so then we took the motor off because he wanted to scrap the motor. And then we got this whole housing off, just like on the Wells Index, only this one, all aluminum, nice and light, completely aluminum. So probably end up scrapping that too.